Let me challenge myself and try to loop on the late descending path. See? It's possible. This is what I call rhythm power. In a match, you can't always hit the ball at the peak of its bounce. But if you load your power, get into position, and time it right, you can still hit a quality shot. Today, let's talk about generating power. Forget being cautious, we're focusing on pure, explosive shots. When we were learning, coaches always taught us to use a wide, open swing to create space for our shots. In the past, generating power meant fully extending your body on the swing. The modern power generation system is more compact, with a shorter backswing and keeping the racket close to your body. The modern, compact technique has its advantages. It's less demanding on your footwork and finding the perfect contact point. For example, if your loop in practice is an 8 out of 10, in a match it might only drop to a 7. However, with the full swing power technique, a 9 in practice can easily drop to a 5 in a match. Neither is better, but the larger swing demands more from your fundamentals, anticipation, footwork, and rhythm. That's why my coaching philosophy favors the modern, close-to-the-body stroke. Second, I want to explain the principles of power generation. First, you must understand that to hit a quality loop, you have to generate power from your body. If you don't use your body, you should reconsider using inverted rubber, as arm-only power is very limited. You might see players who generate power without much body movement, but if they engage their core, their loop would be even more explosive. Let's start with the lower body, then we'll move to the upper body. Amateur players often can't feel their body power because they haven't learned to use their body like a coiled spring. To get a reaction from a spring, you first have to compress it. So, you must remember 2 things: 1, get low, 2, get into a wide, stable stance. Only after establishing a wide stance can you properly transfer your weight. It's not enough to just bend down and stand up. You need to get low, set your stance, and then load into a lunge position. Your right leg must bear the weight. You need to feel the tension in it. You must be in a lunge position, because that's where your power comes from. You have to create that spring-like tension in your body. When your muscles start to feel uncomfortable, you know you're close to success. So when you get low, you must feel your center of gravity shift towards your right side. By doing this, your shoulder will naturally drop into the correct position. The shoulder drops because it needs to explode forward and upward to create the arc on the ball. Every joint in your body must be engaged. I use my feet, legs, hips, waist, upper arm, forearm, wrist, and fingers, that's 8 parts. Add the shoulder, that's 9. Add core engagement, that's 10. You, on the other hand, might just be swinging your arm, without forearm acceleration, finger power, leg drive, or hip rotation. You're using fewer muscles, so of course your shot will have less power. Second, let's talk about the hips. For proper body mechanics, driving with the leg and thrusting the hip are both essential. Your legs need to drive your hips and body forward, not just rotate them side to side. An expert's hip rotation is compact and stable, with no wasted movement. Any shot you see that relies on a big, twisting motion only looks good because it's against an easy practice ball. In a match, that kind of movement falls apart and has no power transfer. Plus, it ruins your recovery for the next shot. The entire hip rotation for a powerful shot is over in an instant. The movement is momentary and extremely compact. A wide, loopy rotation dissipates all your force. If you turn it into a dance move, you'll actually reduce the power from your arm. When your body rotation is slow, your arm speed will also be slow. It's impossible to have a slow body rotation and a fast arm. So, a slow body means a slow arm, which means no power. Watch my body rotation, it's a simple 1-2 count, and it's done. Elite players don't have slow, drawn-out motions. Their strokes are sharp and decisive. Rotate and thrust your hip. 1, 2. Don't turn it into a long, twisting motion, or you'll injure your knees. Your body shouldn't bob up and down or twist excessively side to side. it should rotate, gather, and drive forward into the ball. The entire body action must be very compact, not long and drawn out. All power generation is instantaneous, it cannot be loose. So, the hip action is a simple one too. Let me demonstrate. Watch my body. The range of motion is small, and it stops abruptly, as if a pause button was hit. Think of a military parade. The soldiers' movements are precise and stop instantly with great force. That's the feeling you want, an instantaneous, powerful stop. My motion stops cleanly, there's no follow-through drift. Try it. Once your body stops abruptly, your arm will naturally accelerate to catch up. It's impossible for your body to stop sharply while your arm keeps swinging loosely. The whole motion becomes more compact. Second point, I want to clear up a misconception about timing and power. Many players believe you can only generate power at the peak of the bounce or on the rise. Let me show you. Many players think this is the only contact point for a power shot. They feel if they contact the ball even slightly late, they can only hit a high, spinny loop. Many players think this way and instinctively switch to a high loop when their timing is late. If you wait even a little, you become conservative and just try to lift the ball. But that's not correct. Watch me demonstrate. I can generate power on the rise and at the peak of the bounce. Now, watch this. I can generate the same quality shot on the early descending path. This is what I call rhythm power. In a match, you can't always hit the ball at the peak of its bounce. But if you load your power, get into position, and time it right, you can still hit a quality shot. Don't instinctively lift the ball just because it's late. Even if the ball is very low, you can still generate power. If you can create friction, you can do anything. Let me challenge myself and try to loop on the late descending path. See? It's possible. You can generate power at any point. That last shot was very late, but I could still attack it. So even if your timing is a bit off, you must have the confidence to attack. That second point was about the mental aspect of the game. Third, I want to talk about spacing. Now I'll hit 3 balls. Pay attention to the distance between me, the ball, and my racket. My positioning is very deliberate. Do you think I'm standing close, mid-distance, or far from the table? For all my forehand loops, when I want to hit a power shot, I stand relatively close. You can't get full power if you're too far back. I leave about 1 arm's length of space. However, when my goal is just to get the ball on the table, I create more space. So for those power loops against backspin, I was actually standing slightly closer than normal. The better your serve, the more likely you are to get a chance for a kill shot on the 3rd ball. A good serve makes it less likely your opponent will push long, as adding pace increases their risk of error. Most opponents will play a more controlled push, which often lands half long, near the end of the table. So, when you want to generate power, you must step in closer to the table. But in a crucial point, like 9-9, if your priority is just making the shot, you must stand further back to give yourself more space. Don't get jammed by the ball. To play safe, stand back. This gives you more reaction time in case your positioning is slightly off. If the spin is heavier than you expected, this extra space gives you time to adjust. When you want to attack with power, remember you cannot be too far back. You don't loop every ball from the exact same position. For power, you must be close to the table, leading the attack. From mid-distance, you can't generate the same force. If you have to move, it's very difficult to generate power. After you serve, if you want to win the point on the next shot, don't back up too far. Leave a maximum of 1 forearm's length of space. If your opponent's return is unexpected, like a long, fast push, you must immediately adjust from your attacking position to play a high, spinny loop. If the return after your serve is exactly what you predicted, a weak ball, you attack it immediately. For beginners, the best advice after serving is to create space, as they tend to stand too close to the table. But for advanced players, at 9-9, when you want to win the point, you cannot back away after your serve. If you do, you'll often find yourself out of position. This is a very common mistake. The same principle applies to the backhand. If my serve sets up a weak return, I will attack it. If the return is deep and fast, I will adjust my loop to be safer and add more spin. This is an issue of positioning, not technique. If your positioning is wrong, for example, you're too far from the table, you won't be able to generate quality on your loop. If you are in the correct position, your power shot will be effective. Fourth, many amateur players use too much force on their backswing, which makes their contact with the ball weak. When you take your racket back, the motion must not be fast. You must have a relaxed backswing. This is the prerequisite for generating power. Keep it loose. The backswing should feel effortless and completely relaxed. Don't consciously pull your arm far back or force it down. Change your mindset. The real action only begins at the moment of contact with the ball. This next point is critical, so listen carefully. Rotate your hips to engage the ball, then drive forward. It all happens in that instant. If you can master this one motion, you will be able to hit a power loop. This action is the single most important part of improving your shot quality, and the core of it is the forward drive. What does that drive look like? Without my body, how much power can I get? Now, with my body. Look at the quality and the speed. One is a sprint, the other is a jog. Let's do an experiment. Using only your arm is like a light tap, but using your body is like a powerful shove. You have to think of it as hitting the ball with your entire body mass. You're not just tapping it with your hand playfully, you're trying to hit through it with force. You have to want to crush the ball, so don't be afraid to use your body. The hip rotation is what allows your body to drive forward and whip your arm through the shot. You have to drive your body into the shot like this, not just stick your hips back and swing. That kind of swing has no impact. So at contact, if I just use this small body action without even swinging my arm, the shot quality is already higher than most amateurs. How many amateurs fail to hit forward into the ball? Why does that happen? Why do they lift with their arm? Think about the players around you who do this. It's always because they aren't using their body, and therefore they can't drive forward. You must rotate back and then drive forward to generate power. To get your arm to move forward through the ball, it must be driven by your body. Otherwise, you're just pushing. Look at the difference in quality between a true drive and a push. A backspin ball has rotation. Your first goal is to use friction to overcome that spin. After that, you can treat it like a topspin ball and drive forward. Don't try to lift the ball through the entire stroke. Even against heavy spin, this initial friction is enough. The rest of the motion is a forward drive. The fifth key point is the secondary acceleration that happens after the initial body drive. Your forearm doesn't snap forward the instant you touch the ball. That would be collapsing on the shot too early. After the initial forward drive from the body, you must accelerate again. After I've driven forward and created a good arc, my forearm adds a final braking and accelerating motion, snapping forward and inward. This forearm snap needs to be incredibly focused and fast. See that motion? After the body drive, the forearm snaps inward. This action serves two purposes. First, it dramatically increases racket speed at contact, and second, it provides a sharp braking action for the entire stroke. You can't just stop by locking your elbow, or you'll get injured. The timing of the snap depends on the incoming ball. Against light backspin, my forearm snaps very early. Against very heavy spin, I will drive further through the ball before the forearm snap. When I'm counterlooping, the motion is almost entirely a forward drive followed by the snap. If I'm quick blocking or hitting a fast drive, the forearm snap happens almost immediately upon contact. So remember, at the point of contact, the final stopping of the motion and the forearm acceleration are part of one continuous action. You must grab the ball and accelerate your arm. When I accelerate on a high, spinny loop, it has more spin. When I accelerate on a power loop, it has more speed. Driving with just the body gives you speed, but not explosive power. Why do some players' loops kick forward off the bounce while others don't? It all comes down to this final snap. That aggressive second bounce on your opponent's side of the table comes from this. Drive, then snap. Watch my forearm closely. Watch the forearm. After the drive, you must brace and hold your structure firm. After I drive forward, there's an instantaneous stop and snap. The feeling is one of grabbing inward. You extend out, then grab back in. At the end of this motion, your arm must be tight and firm, not loose. Look, stay tight. Stay tight. The movement is compact and focused. You are not using full power throughout the entire stroke. The backswing must be relaxed, the contact must be focused and accelerated. The drive must use your body, and the finish must snap inward. Do that, and you will be able to hit a power loop. Let's go. And keep in mind, I'm a middle-aged woman who has been retired for over 10 years. So if I can do it, all of you certainly can.